Hello, Nigeria. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Newsline. I am Jennifer Igwe. Now, the family is one of the most important units of human society. It is a crucial support system and haven whose protection, love, and care can influence and shape the personality of an individual. So incest that involves the sexual abuse of a child by an adult family member is really sad and horrifying. And an anomaly that is not just a taboo, but criminal. On our lineup today, we have a story of 7 fathers who have raped their daughters. Now, why on earth would any dad, do that to his child? Can a father or family member get away with such evil? Stay tuned to find out. Now, still on the family and society, what is the role of children to the elderly? Should children ignore their parents in the evening of their lives? Our correspondent is set to help us understand. Then back to the menace of rape. The ugly trend is alarming and extremely worrisome. More annoying is when perpetrators can have the audacity to brag about their cruel acts. The days of such insensitive and criminal actions are over because rapists today must answer to the law. On cue is a case in that direction. And of course, the NTA is determined to check this menace because we stand against rape and rapists. We also have a feature on a woman who was murdered by her very close friend. Goosebumps, right? As usual, we are loaded, but I'll pause so that Elizabeth Omori can take the news, after which Newsline Human Interest Stories will roll. Lizzie, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. The collapse of a bridge along Waram-Basirka Road in Jigawa State has resulted in a fatal accident that claimed 21 lives. The bridge collapsed as a result of heavy downpour that washed away the portion of the road, and unknown to the oncoming vehicles, they fell into the ditch. Eyewitnesses confirmed that 21 bodies of the passengers believed to be from Kano, traveling to some northeastern states, have been accounted for, while 1 injured person is receiving medical attention. Correspondent Abdullah Garba bringing Kodo reports that the road under rehabilitation is a shorter route between Kano to Gombe and Yola. Jigawa State government had only last week closed another bridge to articulate the vehicles to avert collapse. Victims of Thursday morning's flood in Kidfi local government area in Bauchi State are still counting their losses, where more than 2,000 houses, shops, farmlands were affected. Mahmoud Ibn Mohammed reports.
They have been displaced by flood waters and they have fled. Hundreds of people living in Chaledi Primary School in Kidfi local government area of Bauchi State, all victims of flood caused by seasonal rains. The flood has hit many homes and destroyed the livelihood of many, with an estimate of over 100 hectares of farmlands affected. Governor Bala Muhammad has come to assess the damage firsthand.
5,000 farmlands have been destroyed and property that cannot be computed have been destroyed. Those that are building on the flood drain will be advised not to do that. Because if you do that, the rivers or the tributaries or the plain will always find its course.
He says the government will provide the victims with immediate relief items while the State Emergency Management Agency takes stock of the damages caused by the flood. In Bauchi, Mahmoud Ibn Mohammed, NTA News.
Normalcy is gradually returning to Jos, the PLATEAU state capital, after the killing of some travelers along Rukoba Road in Jos North local government area. This follows the swift intervention of security personnel who brought the situation under control. Yildiz Danladi reports that 20 persons have so far been arrested in connection with the incident.
Peace of this community was threatened on Saturday morning when some travelers were killed, a situation that created unease in the state. However, relative peace have returned to the affected areas as only few people and vehicles are plying the roads, with security personnel at strategic positions within the metropolis. The situation is different at Terminus Market, where the usual economic activities were paralyzed. Meanwhile, the Plateau State Special Hospital is providing medical care to injured victims.
So far, we have about 6 people that have just been rushed in, and so we are struggling to stabilize them. 2 of them will need some surgical intervention, and we're working on that.
Following the attack, the Plateau State government has imposed 24-hour curfew on Jos North to contain further security threats.
The curfew in Jos North local government starts from 2 o'clock this afternoon indefinitely. While Jos South and Bassa local governments, their curfew time still remains, beginning from 6 in the evening to 6 a.m.
In the meantime, the security task force has arrested 20 persons in connection with the incident and has rescued 7 victims of the attack who are receiving medical attention. In Jos, Yildik Danladi, NTA News.
The Inspector General of Police Usman Al-Kalibaba has ordered the immediate deployment of police intervention team to Plateau State for an on-the-spot assessment and ensure enhanced coordinated response. A statement by the force indicates that the deployment is sequel to the unfortunate attack on innocent citizens in Rukuba community, Jos North local government area of Plateau State. The police intervention team headed by DIG Sanusi Lemo is expected to protect communities, prevent further attacks and bring the perpetrators to justice. They're expected to provide additional investigative intelligence and forensic support to the Plateau State Police Command in the ongoing investigations and rescue operations. The IGP says the police is working with the military, other security forces and the state government to ensure that the perpetrators are brought to book. In a related development, the Plateau State government has imposed a curfew on Jos North, Bassa and Jos South local governments commencing 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in order to avoid further deterioration of the situation due to the Rukuba attack. Plateau State Governor Simon Bakolalong says the curfew Hamid Idris Wase has condemned the attack. In a statement issued, the Deputy Speaker says the cause of the attack must be investigated with perpetrators brought to book. Similarly, the Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Tallinn, urges citizens to remain calm and allow security operatives handle the situation to restore peace in the troubled areas. The Minister prayed for healing for those who sustained injuries and comfort for those who lost loved ones as a result of the ugly developments. In the same vein, the Nigeria Governors Forum has condemned what it called barbaric and very tragic incident that led to the loss of 23 travelers around Garda Bio in Jos North local government area of Plateau State. A statement from the forum says such actions are capable of diminishing the relative peace enjoyed. The forum wants the country's security organizations to fish out all those involved and bring them forward to face the full wrath of the law, to serve as deterrent to those who are contemplating similar action. The Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs has appealed to all Muslims to be calm and that nobody should take laws into their hands over the incident in Jos where about 25 travelers were attacked and killed. A statement from the council after condemning the action re-emphasizes that no human life deserves to be wasted on any ground, be it religious or ethnic. While affirming the statements of the governors of Plateau State and Ondo, it was a case of mistaken identity and not particularly intended for the Muslims. The council says it is monitoring the investigation and would ensure that justice is done. It urges the security agencies to fish out all the perpetrators and ensure that adequate justice is done. The council commiserates with all Muslims, particularly Sheikh Dairu Bauchi, the host of the religious event from which the victims were returning. Now, Borno State Governor Babagana Umar Zulum says the ongoing surrender of Boko Haram terrorists has left Borno State with two extreme difficult situations, requiring diverse stakeholders to come together and critically review the prospects and implications of the surrender in order to agree on a framework that serves the best interest of all. The governor stated this while addressing military officers and community leaders in Bama and Woza local government areas during his visit to the areas. Mohammed Goni reports.
Governor Babagana Umar Zulum traveled to Goza and Bama local government areas for humanitarian and development activities, where he also addressed military commanders at brigades in the two areas, as well as community leaders at the palaces of the Emir of Goza and Shehu of Bama, delivering the same message in both towns. The governor said accepting Boko Haram has the risk of seriously offending the feelings of victims with potentials for civil unrest, just as there is the risk that if Boko Haram fighters willing to surrender are rejected, they can join ISWAP to swell the ranks of fighters in the bush and the path of peace becomes narrowed.
Within a few months, we have started witnessing gradual return of peace to Borno State. Then we must commend the effort of the President and Commander-in-Chief of the armed forces. We must commend the efforts of the Nigerian military, paramilitary, and our current civilian JTF and hunters.
The governor added that on his way to Goza and Bama, he saw many people cultivating their farmlands by the roadside, the development he described as an indication of emerging peace, which he said should be sustained in order to salvage the people, stressing, however, the need to come together to carefully analyze the two extreme situations and come up with a workable framework. The governor added that he will engage in high-level consultations with President Muhammadu Buhari, service chiefs and resident security heads, traditional rulers, elders and religious leaders, national and state assembly members, academics and other stakeholders, particularly victims of the crimes perpetrated by the insurgents, so that stakeholders will critically review the situation and come up with a workable framework on how to move forward. Meanwhile, Governor Zulum, during his visit to Goza and Bama, gave directives for the execution of developmental projects towards improving infrastructure in schools and hospitals. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
In other news, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has described love as the recipe for conflict resolution in Nigeria. He was speaking at a send-off service in honor of Reverend Israel Akonji at the First Baptist Church in Abuja. Ikene Undulwe reports.
For 22 years, Reverend Israel Akonji held sway as senior pastor of the First Baptist Church, Gariki, Abuja. As he takes a bow, dignitaries and the church community are rolling out the drums in celebration of his outstanding service. Among them, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. For him, Reverend Akonji has served the body of Christ meritoriously, and his gospel of love is what Nigeria needs to heal in these turbulent times.
Today, things may seem bleak and grey with insecurity and economic difficulties. But even in the midst of these problems, the Spirit of God is in this land, hovering over this nation.
There are other testimonies of his good deeds from the broad spectrum of guests. The celebrant also admits that it has been 22 years of fruitfulness.
We have moved gradually, step by step, from a very small level that we were to where God has brought us to now. For me, it was an exciting journey of faith.
It's been a great time in Abuja, and all we can say is to give glory to God for his faithfulness, for his sustaining grace, and for giving us the opportunity to have fulfillment in ministry.
Indeed, the reward for hard work is more work. So, as Reverend Akonji leaves his role of senior pastor, a new responsibility beckons. The 60-year-old becomes president of the Nigerian Baptist Convention. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
Parents and caregivers have always identified their children's teenage years as the best period. They require close monitoring to ensure they remain focused on their aspirations. Now, the teens arm of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Everlasting Arms Parish, Gariki, Abuja, is organizing a career conference for this group. Olabode Arewa reports.
All the rich men in the world, that they don't just get there by flying there, that they get there by working hard.
Glory Oluwaseyi, one of Nigeria's tomorrow, positioning herself on the career path to drive the country's information technology sector. That is why she and other youth are participating in this year's Redeemed Christian Church of God Youth Career Conference with the theme, A Brave New World, Who Dares Wins.
The idea of this Teens Conference is to provide role models teenagers can look up to. We want them to see people who have, by dint of hard work and integrity, have achieved, so they can look up to them.
Their lives are important, they have a bright future, but all of that is anchored in Christ Jesus.
What I would tell them is, I always say this to everyone, youth and old people, it starts with believing. You have to believe. It starts with your mind, and that's something that is free.
The conference aims to raise responsible Christian teenagers in Abuja, Olabodarawa. NTA News.
The Chief Whip of the Senate, AUG, Uzo Carlos, said the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has done well in infrastructural development across the country. He was speaking when he granted audience to the prelate and moderator of the General Assembly of the Presbyterian Church of Nigeria, His Eminence Nze Nsi Eke, and other leaders of the church. Senator Carlo described the All Progressives Congress as a national party and explained that President Muhammadu Buhari's road infrastructure, especially in Abia State, is remarkable.
Bandits will soon vanish out of Nigerian border. If you look at the massive infrastructure that the president is putting on the road, if it's not President Buhari, there will be no full budget to tackle the roads in Ohafia today. All the roads we are talking in this civil, in Nduduma, Awoke, in Saga, in Abia, Akanuku, they will not go there. I'm just talking about Ohafia. And we're going to start new roads in Abepu, all those areas, and Market Road. Those are things we would like to do. Because we have a president who sticks to the budget.
This area has been totally neglected for a long time, but our senator is really reviving life, putting smile in the minds of people.
The visit to the Chief Whip is in commemoration of the 175 years anniversary of the church. Away from infrastructure, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, has led a high-powered delegation to condole the family of late Super Permanent Secretary Ahmed Joda, who died on Friday afternoon in Yola, Adamawa State. Yusuf Jika reports.
Among the delegation are Chief of Staff Professor Ibrahim Gambari, FCT Minister Muhammad Bello, members of the National Assembly, Senior Special Assistants to the President on Domestic Affairs, Media and Policy Development and Analysis, Abba Sarki, Garba Shehu and Ibrahim Bapetal respectively. The first port of call by the delegation was at the residence of late Ahmed Joda, where Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, extends the condolence message of President Muhammadu Buhari, describing the deceased as resourceful and productive personality who contributed immensely to the growth and development of the nation. He said the death of Ahmed Joda, former permanent secretary to the Ministries of Education, Information and Industries, has created huge vacuum not only to the nation but the international community as well.
His loss will be quite monumental to the country and particularly to us in Adamawa State. There's hardly any major development in Adamawa, then Gongola State and Northeast, without the imprints of Alhaji Ahmed Joda. He lived a modest life.
The delegation also paid similar visit on Governor Amadou Marufentri and Lamido Adamawa, Dr. Muhammad Barkindo Aliyu Mustafa. In Yola, Yusuf Jika, NTA News.
To interception now, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has arrested a woman with 100 wraps of heroin and 2 parcels of same substance at the departure hall of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos. In a statement by the agency, the suspect was arrested during an outward clearance of passengers on Qatar Airways flight to Florence, Italy. The drugs were concealed in 5 containers of hair relaxer cream. A United Kingdom-bound consignment of illicit drugs was intercepted at the narco export shed of the airport containing 121.25 kilograms of illicit substance, including cocaine, heroin, and cannabis sativa, skunk, 30 pinches of crack cocaine, 6 sachets of Arizona weighing 265 grams, and diazepam were also intercepted. 6 suspects were arrested in connection with the crime. The National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has embarked on strategic public awareness campaign as a regulatory mechanism to promote the health of Nigerians. The Director General of the agency, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, made the remarks at the flag-off of a sensitization campaign and public awareness on the effect of COVID-19 in Benin Kebbi. Usman Abdullahi Shehu reports.
It is a common knowledge that Nigeria has her own share of global problem of falsified medical products and other consumables, hence the sensitization. The Director General of the agency, Professor Moji Christiana Adeyeye, described the campaign as one of the veritable regulatory mechanisms deliberately put in place to promote and protect the health of Nigerians, saying that a sensitized, informed and educated society is the bedrock for effective regulation. The Director General said intensifying surveillance and expanding the scope of formal and informal behavioral change are critical in the campaign.
The objective is purely public enlightenment. We realize the large level of ignorance and lack of awareness in the citizenry, and we felt if the citizens are involved, if the citizens are enlightened, a lot of the problems, the risk we are exposed to will probably be minimized.
The Chairman House Committee on Health and member representing Ngeski Shangani Yawuri constituency at the Federal House of Representatives, Dr. Tanko Sununu, acknowledged the commitment of the agency in safeguarding the lives of Nigerians.
Town hall and meeting as we are having now will also be part of the program. There will also be walk around so that people can be educated. Please, I call on you to study the educational materials that will be distributed to each and every one so that we can take care of ourselves and safeguard our health.
In their separate remarks, the representative of the Emir of Gondu, who is the Serikin Sudan of Laini, Dr. Abubakar Koko, and the project consultant, Malam Lanre Isa Onilu, among others, said the program couldn't come at a better time than now. The sensitization equally took to the major streets of Benin Kebbi, the Kebbi state capital. Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
15th of August is a national holiday in India commemorating the nation's independence from the United Kingdom in 1947. Indians residing all around Nigeria converged on the Indian High Commission in Abuja to catch up with the country's tradition and culture as they mark the country's 75th anniversary. Charles Arthur tells us more about how it all went.
Emotion was on display when adults and children came on stage, showcasing the rich cultural prowess of their beloved nation, India. But they were not the only ones. Whatever dance steps they made, their Nigerian counterparts could do same.
It's a pride for our Indian community to come and, perform together under the flag of the High Commission.
The Indian community in Nigeria has reasons to be proud of the considerable achievements recorded in the last 75 years in the area of sports, health, technology, economy, and entertainment.
It's a feel-good day, but also an important day for us to renew our friendship with our friends across the world.
The bilateral relationship between India and Nigeria began way before 1947. The mutual benefits that abound is believed can only get better. In Abuja, Charles Alpha, NTA News.
And next, some thrilling stories from the world of sports. And our sportsman, Ayodeji Makinde, will be our guide. Ayodeji.
Thanks, Lizzie. Let's start by telling you that a team of 24 athletes that will represent Nigeria at the World Junior Athletics Championship in Kenya has arrived in Nairobi.